whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Indeed.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. 13 down, 3 to go. The regular season is winding down. Your chances of making the playoffs are dwindling, and the urgency meter is pegged today here at Pocono Raceway. The hopefuls have to look no further than 18-year-old Tyler Ankrum. He was the surprise winner last time out at Kentucky, securing his spot in the playoff 8. Stuart Friesen sits 7th in the standings, so no room for error. He'd like nothing more than to win to get in. 6 times a runner-up. How long does the victory elude him? Matt Crafton is a 2-time series champ, but past glory guarantees him nothing now. Crafton is in the most vulnerable position. He's on the playoff bubble. And then there are those like Harrison Burton outside the playoff picture. Only one option for he and the other outsiders. You must win to get in. Some are desperate to get in, others hungry to strengthen their position. More on the dynamics of today's scenarios with Alan Cavana.
And Vince, one of those is defending champion Brett Moffitt, the hottest driver in the series right now. He's won 2 out of the last 4 races, really should have been 3, but he ran out of fuel with just 2 laps to go in Kentucky. He is solidly in the playoffs, but there's still so much more to gain. Each win means more playoff bonus points. Those bonus points could mean he's the #1 seed heading into the playoffs, trying to get his 2nd straight championship, Hermie.
Well, Alan, the pressure is on, as we see it, 3 races before we decide who can race for a championship, who will qualify for the playoffs. For some teams, a win is the only way. A couple teams have also made crew chief changes for this weekend. This is the #2 truck driven by Sheldon Creed for GMS Racing. They have replaced Doug Randolph with Jeff Stankiewicz. He's being reunited with Sheldon Creed. They had some success in the ARCA series. They hope to recapture that. Also with the new crew chief this weekend is the #4 of Todd Gilliland. There you see Wes Ward. He worked for Kyle Busch Motorsports as general manager. He has moved over to be the crew chief, at least for these next 3 races, because they wanted a consistent face and voice on the box for Todd as he chases his playoff berth. Vince.
Thanks a lot, Hermie. Tell you what, crew chief changes at this late stage of the game really speaks to the pressure that some of these organizations are feeling as the postseason approaches. Great to have you with us with Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. Phil, how about these outsiders and the pressure that they're feeling heading into this race today?
It's unbelievable pressure, but we have 4 drivers below that cut line that I think can get to victory lane here. And the reason is they've had success at this racetrack. Top of that list, Harrison Burton. He's 9th in points, just below the cut line, but you see he won the ARCA race here back last year as a 17-year-old. Ben Rhodes finished 2nd here a couple years ago, and that, due to a tiebreaker, got him into the playoffs. He can win tonight. How about Todd Gilliland here? He dominated the ARCA Racing Series event yesterday. A pit miscue took him out of the win. He still finished 2nd. He can win. And Sheldon Creed, he's had 4 ARCA starts here. He's finished 2nd twice. He's reunited, as Hermie said, with Jeff Stankiewicz. He wants to recapture that magic, and he can win here today. But this is a pretty tough place to win.
Oh, wow. There's so much strategy that's going to go into victory today. It's the NFL season's creeping upon us, right?
liken the crew chiefs that Hermie Sadler and Alan Campana were talking about down there on pit road to the head coaches in the NFL. And they all have a playbook, Phil. And I promise you, the playbook today is as thick as I've ever seen because of the options. We talked about how big this track is, how short the stages are. That opens up that playbook. And if the caution flies, you got to flip through some pages and reset and start all over. So our job is to make it clear and simple as to what these crew chiefs are doing. And we've talked to them all. I think we've got that covered. My favorite job today would be the driver. I'm going to sit behind that wheel, and the pit crews are going to worry about all that.
Tell me when you want me to pit.
I'll stop when you say so, and that's a fun job to have.
Let's take a look at the playoff standings and get a clear picture on what's going on here. Remember, only 8 make the playoffs. Those in yellow, those 5, have already guaranteed their spot in with a win. And Matt Crafton sits on the playoff bubble. Not likely that he's going to be outpointed, but Phil, if one of those guys below that red line happens to win, all of a sudden Crafton's out.
Yeah, and Stuart Friesen goes to the cut line there if he's not the guy that wins this race. And Brandon Pinker, who has a comfortable 94-point edge right now, all of a sudden it's not quite so comfortable.
All right, if one of those guys below the cut line wins today, who do you think it's going to be?
Todd Gilliland, no doubt. He's got a fast truck. He was great yesterday, but I'm telling you, miss the playoffs, it's disastrous for these teams.
Yes, me first, Sheldon Creed.
It's up for debate, that's for sure. Fire those engines. Let's get this thing started.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, representing Gander RV, Frank Davis.
On behalf of Gander RV, it is my pleasure to say to you the 4 words you've all been waiting for. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Drivers, start your engines!
After that command, you better be ready. Trucks are fired, drivers strapped in. They are ready to attack the triangle at Pocono.
Today, see the trucks run the tricky triangle.
Around he goes into the outside wall.
Trouble, midpoint down the backstretch, heavy damage onto the back end of the truck.
Hard into the outside wall.
And a yellow again.
They're crashing on the back straightaway.
Caution flag is out.
4 wide just didn't work there.
Well, many come to the Poconos to honeymoon. We come to race.
Out there, baby. Yeah! You guys are the best, man. We got the best team, the best sponsors, the best owners. That's what I'm talking about. Awesome job, boy. Way to drive that race car. Good job, too. That was pretty awesome right there. Great one, too. Badass. That's what it's all about, man.
There's more on the line here than just the win at the end of the day.
Drivers, start your engines. This is Pocono.
NASCAR has been coming here since 1974, and the trucks have been racing at the Triangle for 10 years. This is race number 10 at Pocono for the trucks. The Gander RV 150 at Pocono Raceway, and an absolutely beautiful day. And that's right, something's missing here at Pocono, isn't it, Michael, as we look at the Gander Outdoors track description?
Yeah, turn 4 is not here. We have 3 distinctively different turns modeled after some great tracks across America. 2.5 miles in length. That opens up pit strategy that we talked about before. But the thing that I'm looking forward to watching today, you see that darker part of the track? That's traction compound. There's more grip up there. Pocono did this to try to create more 2- and 3-wide racing through these turns. These trucks are running at crazy speeds through the corners. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how that traction compound plays out today.
Let's take a look at our race analysis. You said the strategy's all over the board here, Michael, but these are the numbers. This race is 60 laps, 150 miles. Our first stage is 15, next stage is 15, our final stage 30 laps. You see that pit window, that's key. 30 to 32 laps. There will be some guys that pit on lap 27 and 28 and try to go the distance here to try to get better track position.
For the second time in the last 3 races, Austin Hill won pole position during qualifying. They qualified yesterday. Friesen and Moffitt on row 2.
Breaking the track record by a huge amount. Really fast speeds I think the weather, the temperature, everything is perfect for fast speeds.
Every winner here at Pocono has started inside the top 6, but Phil, there's some big names outside the top 6 today.
That may hold true today, Vince, but it's going to be tough now for these guys to hold off these comers from the back.
Saw Ben Rhodes going to the rear, and then 99 truck Josh Rayome and Mason Massey also to the rear today because of adjustments.
There was Massey, you saw lined up there on row 12. Bryant Barnhill talked to him down in the garage. Just happy to be here. Can't wait to see how this race takes off and being a part of this competition.
32 drivers lined up getting ready to roll here at Pocono, and we check in one more time downstairs on pit road, beginning with Alan Cabana.
Vince, it's been a rough stretch for Johnny Sauter and his team. I'm with his crew chief now, Joe Shear Jr. What makes this race so difficult from a crew chief's perspective?
Well, it's called the tricky triangle because it's tricky. I've run decent here, and then I've run bad here, and I haven't figured it out, obviously. So we're working on it. Obviously, we didn't qualify as good as we can, but we made some pretty good changes. So hopefully we got something. But my biggest thing is just survive. Hopefully get some points and see what we can do.
Decent, bad, looking for good, Hermie.
Well, Alan, this is Matt Noyes. He is the crew chief for Ben Rhodes in the 99. Beautiful truck on the track, and you guys need to win. We all know that, but what a struggle this weekend has been. And to top it off, you will start from the back due to an adjustment this morning. So how do you as the crew chief manage this race? Very, very short first segment.
Yeah. We're not racing for points, like I said. It's all about winning the race. So we kind of have our hands are tied, but they're not. We only have one goal, so we can play whatever strategy we need to. And if we short pit or we pit really early and try to go stop at lap 3 or stop at 27, we can do that. So it's starting in the back has even opened up more options for us, unfortunately. But we just have to play it as it comes.
Vince?
Well, you heard from the crew chiefs. There's a lot of questions, and we're not going to get any answers until lap 60. We'll see the green when we come back. on the final pace lap here at Pocono. Getting ready for the Gander RV 150. Let's take a look at those onboard cameras today.
Check out the 52 for Stuart Friesen. 6 second place finishes. I said I want to be a driver. I get to act like one today. Check this view out from his visor cam. I'm right up front. This is a truck that could very well become a first-time winner today. I like his chances, and I love that visor cam.
We're also going to ride along with the 99 of Ben Rhodes. That's the Haviland Ford. What a great-looking truck this week for Ben Rhodes. Below the cut line, he's lost 101 points to the cut line in the last 2 races. Needs to reverse that here.
Got to win today for Ben Rhodes, and he has to start from the tail. Austin Hill and Ross Chastain on the front row, and we're racing at Pocono.
Look at the block that Austin Hill throws on Stuart Friesen, but Friesen's not to be denied. He's to the bottom.
3 wide for third, and Friesen is going around the first corner of the first lap, and Stuart Friesen suffers significant damage in that left rear.
Got hit.
We talk about that playoff cut line.
That changes everything.
Man, oh man.
That is huge for Stuart Friesen. 7th out of 8 in points. And remember, only the top 8 make the playoffs. Trip Bruce, the crew chief for Friesen. Well, got a big knot in the stomach right now.
Well, from what I see, that truck's irreparable, Vince. They're done for the day. That means no points and
just a handful of points. Certainly, might as well be no points. Look at the damage to that truck.
Well, he got it heading the right direction. That's Anthony Alfredo in the 15 truck. He got
certainly not his fault.
We couldn't see.
Yeah.
You see all that tire smoke when you go down in the corner. You can't see through it. Your spotter's helping you the best he can, but Alfredo unfortunately ran into
really unfortunate for Alfredo too, because he is a driver that doesn't run the full season, but he has been running really well of late, and as you said, just an innocent victim to Friesen's spin.
He got himself in a bind. He went in the corner low because of that dive move he made on the straightaway, and when you go in low, it takes away your angle and it makes the turn sharper. He had those wheels cut, truck on his outside. The truck just got away from him.
Bottom of 3 wide. We talk about guys being side by side and losing the air off that rear spoiler. Worst possible scenario for Stuart Friesen, bottom of 3 wide.
I thought right there he had a chance to keep it out of the wall. Unfortunately, Alfredo came along.
Stuart Friesen had 4 straight top 5s, and as Michael noted earlier, had been runner-up 6 times in his career, still looking for that first career win, and he has run well here at Pocono, but not today for Stuart Friesen.
Vince, we talk about his expertise on dirt and the fact that when we go next week, take another look at this.
That's the visor.
That's the visor cam.
Bottom 3 here.
See how tight his angle is?
Bottom 3. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Hang on, hang on, hang on.
2 pretty significant hits, one with Alfredo, one with the outside wall.
What a horrible feeling Friesen must have been experiencing in the process of that spin, knowing it's the first lap and he can't afford this type of result.
Well, check out this aggressive move by Friesen. He knows what an opportunity these starts and restarts will be today to get to the bottom. He got a nice push there from Sheldon Creed behind him, dives to the bottom. But look, Phil, look how tight his angle is into turn 1. He tries to come up the racetrack. That's just a bad place to be.
He's literally 30 or 40 feet from having the proper angle getting down in that corner.
You see Ross Chastain jumped to the front, but all eyes now on this 52 team. Crew chief Trip Bruce will have to survey the damage, but it won't be good. Here's radio from the 99 of Ben Rhodes.
All right, so today's a points day now, Noise. 52 can lose a bunch, and we can get some serious points now.
Ball game changers every lap here.
You know what that means? We just flipped the playbook. We went to a different play now because their race was going to be all about winning, getting to victory lane. That's the way they were going to get to the playoffs. Now it's different because of Friesen's trouble. That 99 team can gain points and get enough to get there.
So many options, so much strategy. It just took a big turn as Stuart Friesen goes around at Pocono. It didn't take long for the drama here at Pocono. Lap 1, Stuart Friesen crashes, and the playoff picture is altered immediately.
It will continue to be altered throughout the day depending on how these other guys perform, but you can see there down on that yellow line that made his truck want to go up to the right, and there just wasn't anywhere to go there, and you can see nearly getting by the outside as a 15 truck.
I'm not sure he wouldn't hit the outside wall anyway, even had he not made contact with Anthony Alfredo. You see him 3 wide, and it's 2 teammates too, with Sheldon Creed in the 2 and Brett Moffitt in the 24.
Several big playoff contenders, those that are in and those that are out, narrowly missed the 52 of Friesen. Unfortunately, Anthony Alfredo did not. He got collected in that incident, and Natalie Decker also suffered some left rear damage in that incident, because it's like an accordion. When an accident happens at the front, everybody starts checking up, and watch what happens here at the 99 on board with Ben Rhodes.
And look at the gap he gave there, but when they started checking up, he just didn't
checking up.
see the contact.
Checking up. Clear high, come on up.
What an incredible save by Natalie Decker, though.
How are you?
Yeah, that was a great job by her, and you could hear her there. Ben didn't get the word of the wreck, couldn't see it, ran in the back of her.
How much damage on that 99, Hermie?
Well, Vince, they obviously had a chance to coming back down pit road now to take another look at that right front, but that was an issue even prior to this contact with Natalie Decker on the racetrack. They made so many changes to this truck after practice yesterday. Vince, normally at the racetrack you'll change springs, shocks, things like that. They were changing truck arms, front end geometry, a lot of things going on with this 99. They were so far off. Well, yesterday in qualifying, the right front tire was rubbing, so they had to come in and do some repairs to that. That's why they had to go to the rear in the first place. So they came back in, got a little more opportunity on that 99. Good break for them.
And certainly Ben Rhodes needs a big point day. After Phil, you said, I thought one of the great statistics in the last 2 races, he'd lost over 100 points to the playoff bubble. He's got an opportunity to get a bunch of those back today.
Yeah, right now with 2, obviously he has enough fuel. He may alter his strategy and try to run to the end of the second stage. He may just forego, depending on how many trucks maybe pit early in that first stage. He might not be in a point-paying position, but he can stay on the racetrack, get track position, and go all the way towards the end of that second stage and either stay out to get playoff points or stage points, or come in and pit early to get track position again.
Okay, we've got stage 1 is 15 laps, stage 2 is 15 laps, the final stage is 30 laps. Each of you take a strategy that we might see employed today.
I like getting my first stage points, whoever that be, especially the guys that need those points. Maybe the winners don't need the points from earlier this year, but then stop on lap 27 or 28. 27 if I'm close enough, if I'm not close enough to the lead to make it on pit road and get off before getting laps. 28 if I'm in the lead or close to the lead.
My playbook's too thick to go through this right now because I've got a lot of options.
We've got a restart coming up, don't we, Mike?
A lot of options I'm looking at, and I'm gonna.
So Phil was saying, though, just one pit stop, potentially at lap 27 or 28. Would you take 2 pit stops?
I think it's a 2-stop race for me. Watch these restarts. NASCAR got on the drivers about making sure they were spaced properly, didn't start too early. We're going to see 3 wide. We'll probably see 4 wide as they race down toward turn 1.
Ross Chastain in the white truck leading the way into turn 1. A 2-time winner already this season.
Harrison Burton, that 18 truck, was able to make that 3 wide pass work.
Oh, and another one has gone around, and this time it's Brian Doza in the 28. So we had talked to plenty of the crew chiefs downstairs earlier today, saying that a lot of times this race can run green for long periods of time. We haven't got through a full lap of green yet.
We haven't run 1.5 miles yet, and this is a 2.5 mile track under green.
So the caution out for the second time as Doza suffers significant rear damage. Stuart Friesen, of course, brought out the first caution, and he's now with Allen.
Vince, he's okay, but he's frustrated. Stuart, just tell me what happened going into turn 1 there.
I'm not really sure. Just got squeezed low there and got spun around, made contact with the wall. Yeah, this will be the first time I saw it, so just a bummer. Just got to the apron there and remember we went. Bummer. Had a lot of friends and family here today, and just really, really disappointed. Wish I could have done more to last a little longer out there, obviously. But it sucks for all the people that came down to support us and be here for us. Thanks to Helmar and everything they do for us, and Team Chevy and all that stuff. And we'll be back. It just it sucks right now.
Your crew chief immediately started looking forward. How much confidence can you bring to Eldora this week?
Oh, we'll bring a lot of confidence for sure. Trip's very optimistic. I usually am too, but not right now. It's going to take a couple hours.
Stuart Friesen out early.
And fans in this part of the country certainly familiar with Friesen and his success as a big block modified driver. He's out, and Brian Doza has big damage. Still looking for a good stretch of green here at Pocono.
Okay.
Got a great heavyweight battle for you coming up 1 week from today. Brooklyn's unbeaten Adam Kovnatsky takes on Chris Arreola. It's next Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Expecting a slugfest today, but haven't had much punching. We've had some hitting, trucks hitting the wall, but haven't had much of a battle for the lead or any of the positions because we haven't had a long enough stretch of green to do it. Let's see what happens now. Ross Chastain and Sheldon Creed on the front row for this restart.
So Ross spin the tires just a little bit.
Oh, and another one is around, and this time it's the 44 Bailey Curry. Don't believe he made any contact.
We're probably going to stay green, Vince.
Yeah, stay green for now.
It's a tough break for Curry. He's flat spotted those tires. Such a great qualifying effort for that young man, making a start in that 44 truck, but NASCAR's not going to throw the caution.
And that's his teammate out front, Ross Chastain, in the 45, and Sheldon Creed runs second.
First time these trucks have gone through turn 2 under speed since the start of the race.
That's the toughest turn here. They made it, I think.
Harrison Burton in that 18 truck inside of the 16 of Austin Hill, who started this race on pole. Todd Gilliland runs third, and we mentioned Harrison Burton, the third member of the Kyle Busch Motorsports crew, is the 51 of Christian Eckes. And here's the replay of the 44 spinning around.
Yeah, watch left side of your screen there. He's going to get run into in the back by the 22 of Austin Wayne Self. Austin was trying to get to his inside to block a move, I think, by the 02 of Tyler Dipple.
But the 44 of Curry didn't really get going. There was a big gap between he and the truck in front of him. I wonder if he missed his shift because he wasn't tight up to the truck ahead of him.
And again, that could have collected others as well, but it did not. Todd Gilliland now looks like he's got a handful in that 4 truck, and others are getting around him, including the 24 of Brett Moffitt and now the 98 of Grant Enfinger.
These guys know there's only 6 laps left in this stage. You have to be aggressive. There's Brett Moffitt up there with his right sides in the traction compound, held on pretty well.
Moffitt had the race won last time out at Kentucky, but a lap and a half from the finish, ran out of gas and opened the door for Tyler Ankrum to get his first career win.
Look at those huge blocks these guys are trying to throw. All over this front straightaway.
That was the 17 of Ankrum. Ankrum trying to block the 51 of Eckes. 51 of Eckes said when he went to qualify, he thought he was in the ARCA car again and underdrove that truck. Had a lot better truck than where he started.
There's Ankrum in that 17 truck, the winner last time out at Kentucky. Right behind him is Matt Crafton, who started this race today on the playoff bubble, but he has since moved up a spot into the 7th position because of the accident involving Stuart Friesen. And there is the 13 of Johnny Sauter on pit road. He had some contact earlier during that Bailey Curry spin.
He's not going to stay on the lead lap. Our leader right now is going by the start-finish line, Ross Chastain.
So Sauter's going to go a lap down. You see them, Johnny still leaving pit road.
Yeah, the worst thing can happen for Johnny Sauter is any of these guys decide to stay out at the end of this first stage, and that would not give him an opportunity to wave around.
And somebody will, I believe.
I think so too.
There's drivers that are going to be, if you like maybe having a cold beer with your NASCAR on a Saturday afternoon, then maybe strategies are your drinking word, because we're getting ready to see all kinds of different plays and plans here.
Austin Hill started on pole. He now runs 4th, Hermie.
And it's really not a big surprise that he's dropped back to the 4th position. A lot of teams with a lot of different strategies. I talked to the crew chief, Scott Zipadelli, this morning. He told his drivers, stay away from the desperate drivers and teams. We do not have to take chances. We do not want to be around other drivers that have to take chances. So their plan is to try to get a good, comfortable spot on the racetrack, stay there, and race at the end.
Hey, Hermie, tell Scott Zipadelli I don't see any drivers that don't look desperate early in this race. These moves have been bold, and they haven't worked out.
Ross Chastain, the leader. And Chastain, even though he's won a couple of times this season, needs to secure his position inside the top 20 in points in order to make the playoffs, and he came in 18th in the point standing. Shouldn't be a problem unless disaster strikes the 45. And a good little battle here between some Kyle Busch Motorsports teammates. Christian Eckes in the 51, Todd Gilliland in the 4. Gilliland has been dropping back.
He has, and Eckes has been moving forward. He started back in the 13th spot, as we mentioned. He said, I forgot I was not in an ARCA Menards car. I was in a truck. Rudy Fugle said we had a lot better truck than where we qualified, and he's showing it right now.
2 to go here in stage 1, so the pits are closed for the final 2 laps of each stage.
And all these caution flag laps, Phil, I think maybe we'll see some guys elect to stay out here. They don't have that many laps on their tires. They know they can get to the next stage. Look at this battle for points, though. These guys know how important 1 point can be getting to the playoffs, and you can see by the way they're racing.
We mentioned Ben Rhodes a couple years ago. He made the playoffs by a tiebreaker with a better finish than his closest competitor.
Yeah, every point does indeed matter, and you get points if you finish in the top 10 in each stage. So the battle there between Crafton and Dipple and even Tyler Ankrum for that 10th and final spot.
But Ben Rhodes has made a nice move from starting at the back due to unapproved adjustments, up here now just outside the top 10.
He wants that 10th spot. He wants to try to get around Crafton for 11th and Ankrum. Any point after what happened to Stuart Friesen, like you said, is going to be important for this young man. And he's got a fast truck. They were so far off yesterday in practice. He said, we can't even see him after a couple laps. Now he's competitive. That's a good feeling.
The final lap here in stage 1.
Saw Crafton squared away there off turn 1. Nice run off the corner.
Crafton has a lap truck of Norm Bending between himself and that 10th spot of Ankrum.
How about that 99 Havlin? Looks like Davey Allison out there.
Does.
Running great memories and great work by Ben Rhodes following his way toward the front.
And that's 11th place. Matt Crafton just ahead of him, but Ross Chastain takes the green and white checkers as the stage 1 winner.
What an amazing job that young man and that Nice Motorsports has done this year. What a transformation for that team. We saw glimpses last year when Ross jumped in that truck and ran a handful of races, but he has been on go since we started the season.
Second stage win of the season for Ross Chastain. Stage 2 coming your way from Pocono.
No doubt. There goes Norm.
Back here at Pocono, stage 1 complete. Ross Chastain, the stage 1 winner. And now we start to see some of the strategies unfold. Who comes to pit road? Chastain stayed out, but a long line of others have chosen to come here at the end of stage 1. Allen is with Tyler Ankrum.
Tyler Ankrum, the last winner in the series, winning in Kentucky. This is a strategy call, just playing to what the leaders did, kind of doing the opposite. 2 tires on the right side. They're telling every truck on pit road to save fuel, Hermie.
Yeah, the 16, that's Austin Hill. His truck's a little bit tight, especially in the turn 3 end of the racetrack. A wedge adjustment, 2 right side tires for Hill. He stalls the truck a little bit. Maybe some indecision on pit road. Going to fix a little damage on the left rear while he's here.
How about the strategy, Mike, of the decision to pit now versus those staying out?
Well, when they have to pit the next time, maybe just before that second stage in, they can get less fuel. They can put on 2 tires and feel good about having fresher tires. So it's just a play that the crew chiefs have decided to maximize track position. You'll hear the drivers say, or the crew chief say, save fuel. They'll fill it up with gas and tell the driver, save fuel, because the more you have, the less time you spend on pit road.
So check in with Harrison Burton, one of the drivers that elected to stay out. He currently runs 3rd.
Hey, Harrison Burton, Phil Parsons and the boys up in the Fox booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you loud and clear.
Looked like you had a pretty speedy truck there. You guys decided to stay out here and try to get to that second stage, or just prior to that second stage? Is that your strategy?
Yep, just trying to get as much track position as we can and as many stage points as we can, battling for this playoff spot. We're gunning for a win here as well, so hopefully it all shakes out for us. I know we got a fast, more building Toyota Tundra, so we just got to put it where it belongs.
All right, but I saw you go to victory lane on that ARCA series last year. Do it again.
That's the plan.
Thank you, buddy.
Boy, and what a big win it would be if Harrison Burton could indeed put it in victory lane at the end of the day. Stage 2 when we come back.
Doing that.
Stage 2 is underway at Pocono, and look at Matt Crafton having to go all the way down into the white part of the track, the front straightaway, as he was blocked by Tyler Ankrum.
He's going to be a little bit upset with Tyler Ankrum taking him all the way to the pit wall.
We promised 3 and 4, maybe 5 wide. I think we just delivered on that promise.
No, Sheldon Creed into the wall.
Sheldon Creed was running 4th, and he's one of the drivers battling for a playoff spot. Somehow saved it and continues to roll, but he's got some pretty good damage.
A lot of damage. Look at that splitter's going to be dragging on the right front.
He'll be lucky not to crash that truck before he gets back with all that damage in a big pack of trucks like this.
Well, that's Todd Gilliland right behind him. He needs to get away from Creed in case Creed does have some issue and don't want to be collected by it.
See the right front corner of that truck down. That's going to certainly.
There's on the ground.
You hear the spotter say the splitter is on the ground.
Creed was one of those drivers outside the playoff picture, needing a win to get in. Not likely today after that contact and the damage sustained.
He's battling with the 51 of Christian Eckes. He's gonna come off of turn number 1, and he wasn't quite clear of Christian Eckes and actually turned right to get up against the outside wall, and Christian was there. Look at Christian, really couldn't go any higher. He was within a foot or two of the outside wall. Can't put that on Christian.
No, not at all, and I don't think Christian had any idea
Bumper clear.
that Creed would come
clear,
up.
Man.
He had a path on the high
Keep
side.
coming.
He
Get
stuck
away
his
from him.
nose
Go
in
down and
there
get him.
and left it.
Creed still out there. Early laps here in stage 2.
I was certainly impressed when he came off turn 3, that he was able to hold his own, but now he's coming to pit road.
From 8th, Creed will come and have that crew. Jeff Stankiewicz, his crew chief for the first race this season. Stankiewicz had been Creed's ARCA crew chief last year when they won the championship together, but they've not been working together here in the Truck Series until this race. They've been reunited. So as Creed heads to pit road, and we'll wait on him to hit the box, Hermie Sadler is there.
Yeah, Vince, quite a bit of damage as you can see, especially to the right front, but also some damage toward the right rear area of this truck. They've got the truck jacked up. It'll be 2 right side tires, and they need to try to get the splitter off of the racetrack. That'll be the main issue for the 2 right now.
For those not familiar, Mike, the damage and when the splitter is on the racetrack, how does that affect the handling of the truck?
It just lightens up that right front tire. It takes the front out of the track, so he has no traction as he goes through the corner, and this extended pit stop is going to put him a lap down. Joining him on pit road just now is Austin Hill. I thought I heard his clutch slipping when he came by down the front straightaway. That engine was revving, so this could be terminal.
I mean, it just kind of feels soft, but it still feels like I have a little bit of a pedal. I feel like it's either built too much pressure or it's burned up.
Second race in a row for Austin Hill having a poor finish.
He's fortunate. He won the season opener at Daytona, so he's got a playoff spot locked up. But for Sheldon Creed, who needs to win to get in one of these final 3 races, it's not going to be today. Meanwhile, Ross Chastain continues to lead the way here at Pocono, and you see the playoff picture there in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Stuart Friesen crashed on lap 1. He came in 7th. He and Matt Crafton have switched spots. How about Friesen was 60 points to the good coming into this race, and now it's plus 13, and that number will dwindle.
Sure will. What a tough wreck for Stuart Friesen. Now, how much importance does that put on Eldora next week, as well as Michigan, the last race before the playoffs begin?
And has really opened things up for Harrison Burton as well from a points perspective, and Burton the first one out currently.
I still would not be comfortable. You see Jeff Stankiewicz right there, crew chief for Sheldon Creed, show his frustration.
Well, they really believed they had a truck that was good enough to contend for the win today. And right now, Ross Chastain continues to front the pack. Chastain began this season competing for Xfinity Series points, but after he won in the truck at Kansas, they decided to switch over to the Truck Series championship. That win at Kansas didn't count toward the Truck Series title, but he has since come back and posted another victory. So Chastain in the playoffs for a truck title, and he has been strong in every race.
What a great job by Ben Rhodes, running right now up in the top 5. You see a little bit of damage on the right front corner of that truck. That truck was so bad yesterday, and those guys really made some amazing changes. We talked to Matt Noyce about it, and he has that truck pretty competitive right now.
Certainly is, and how much has his world changed since that lap 1 crash for Stuart Friesen? He now sees 2 options. He thought coming here he had to win one of these final 3 to get in the playoffs. He can point his way in now if he's able to have a couple of good runs.
Rhodes up to 5th. Remember, started at the tail of the field after having to work on that right front after qualifying yesterday.
We talk about to make this strategy work, we pit before the end of this second stage. If you're close enough to the lead, you can pit on lap 27. If you're not, then you have to really wait, because you cannot pit with 2 laps to go in the stage. If you're in the lead, you can pit with 2 because you can get to the end of pit road before the leader or the other leader would get to the start finish line.
Well, and this is lap 25, so we're closing in on that spot.
Yeah, and the crew chiefs down on pit road, they think if they're within 12 seconds, 13 seconds, they can make a pit stop and not lose a lap. I'll tell you who's putting a hurting on that plan. It's Ross Chastain. because his lap times have consistently been the fastest on the track. In fact, he's put all the way down to 12th position Jordan Anderson. He's outside of that window where he could come to pit road. So he's closing the window on some of these crew chiefs and their strategy.
And Todd Gillen, one of the guys that is in a must-win situation that could use that strategy, he's almost 13 seconds behind. I think he's a little bit too far out of it.
You know, when we were down in the garage yesterday talking to different crew chiefs about drivers that they thought looked really good in practice, Chastain's name wasn't near the top of the list, but he has been bad fast here today at the start of this race.
I tell you, Vince, as soon as he qualified up front, I was pretty confident he was going to run up there. That team has struggled during practice at times this year and qualified poorly, not here at Pocono.
How about the run for Jordan Anderson in that 3 truck right there? He's racing with Todd Gillen for the 11th position right now. What an effort by Jordan Anderson on a very, very much underfunded team in that 3 truck.
And when they unloaded that truck, he was 4th fastest in the final practice session yesterday. He said that's his old workhorse. He calls it 007. That's the number of the truck, the chassis. He said, I don't know how old it is, but I sure do like the way it runs.
Here's Ross Chastain pitting from the lead, and you guys talked about coming on lap 27. This is lap 27, and here is Chastain, just according to strategy.
He's going to bring some with him too, Vince. Other drivers, including Christian Eckes in that 51 truck, Tyler Ankrum in the 17, they're all coming down. I'll probably see 2 tires and maybe gas.
Hermie?
Yeah, the 45 hits its pit box. Been good in qualifying, good in the race. They like being out front, but this will be a 4-tire stop. They feel like this will be the play. Maybe to get 2 tires later in the race today. Michael will keep an eye on that. The 51, Christian Eckes, also on pit road, getting fuel in his truck as well. Left side tires going on. His truck has been a little bit on the tight side.
Looked like our leader took 4, but maybe Ankrum got 2, so there again, differing plans.
Yeah, and a little problem on the right rear of Chastain.
Harrison Burton will inherit the lead there, put him in a great situation for some stage points here at the end of this 2nd stage.
Fuel only for Tyler Ankrum on that pit stop allowed him to get out ahead of the 45 of Chastain. Harrison Burton inherits the lead since Chastain had pitted. Burton began the day outside the cut line as well, despite the fact he was 5th in points because of the drivers that have won and secured their position in the playoffs. Despite being 5th in points, he was 9th in the playoff standings.
Unbelievable here, but what a great effort today here. Finished 3rd in that 1st stage, and he's going to win this 2nd stage.
That just tells you, Vince, how much premium is put on winning in NASCAR. You've got to get that win. You can't take anything else for granted.
Mike Hillman Jr., the crew chief for Harrison Burton. Hillman won here last year as the crew chief of Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch Motorsports has won the last 4 here at Pocono, and right now their driver Harrison Burton is out front. Final lap of stage 2.
The thing I like for Harrison Burton, there weren't that many guys that took advantage of the strategy to pit before the end of the stage. So if he has a pretty good solid pit stop, he's not going to restart way back in the pack. He's still going to be fairly close to the front with fresh tires and more fuel than the guys that stopped 3 laps ago.
I just like the way this truck's handled all day. He's been able to make some really good moves to get toward the front.
Good look at Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton, a couple of Thor Sport teammates, 4th and 5th. Meanwhile, Burton comes off turn 3 and heading across the line. The stage 2 winner is Harrison Burton, his first stage win of the season. The battle for points through the top 10 here in this stage. Todd Gilliland comes across in the 8th spot. Harrison Burton, first stage win of the season. Can he make it his first race win of the season? Harrison Burton wins stage 2 here at Pocono, the Gander RV 150. But that long line behind him, along with the 18 truck of Burton, are going to be heading to pit road. This is the group that did not employ the strategy of stopping prior to the end of stage 1. Allen is waiting on the race leader, Burton.
The long drive down pit road. The first driver we'll see on the top of your screen is Brett Moffitt in the 24. He's feeling good about his truck right now. The call is for no adjustments and 4 tires, just a little tape off the nose. In the middle of your screen, the 18 of Harrison Burton, really getting the most out of his day, winning that stage. They're going to make a small air pressure adjustment and go for 4 tires and hope to get in this playoff position. Hermie?
Well, Alan, Grant Enfinger is chasing the regular season championship. They want to get as many points as possible every stage. That's why they stayed on the racetrack. His truck is aero tight, especially in turn 3. 4 tires, fuel, and a track bar adjustment for the 98.
A lot of furious work being done over the wall by the pit crews. You see Matt Crafton, those that took 2 tires, making a jump over those that took 4. We're going to talk with Ben Rhodes, who started at the tail of the field and has looked pretty sporty today, Mike.
Hey, Ben Rhodes, it's Michael Waltrip and the boys in the Fox Sports booth. Do you copy?
I've got you, Michael.
Well, I talked to you yesterday. You said I'm 2 seconds off. How can I be 2 seconds off? Man, what great work you and the team have done closing that gap. You've got a competitive truck today.
I think we do. You know, we made big improvements on it since practice, so I think we headed in the right direction. Really proud to have Haviland on board for us this weekend, and hopefully I can do them proud and all the other drivers that have drove before me, holding up their brand.
Well, it's a beautiful truck, and you're doing a beautiful job. How were you 2 seconds off anyway?
I don't know. That's a good question for my crew chief. We've worked on it, though. We worked on it all night, and we've gotten a lot better here, and it seems like we're in the hunt now. We just got to play it safe, keep our track position, and get us some points or maybe even a win.
Well, you're doing a great job. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Yeah, who would have thought that we would have been discussing Ben Rhodes as a driver that was going to maybe have a shot at winning this race after starting for the... Hey, it's going to be Christmas for somebody today. We'll see who.
Johnny Sauter to pit road.
back here at Pocono, taking a look at the Xfinity fastest pit stops on that last round of service. Starting the final stage at Pocono. It's green, and we're going to crank it up. Ross Chastain struggled in practice, but qualified on the front row, and he has had a fast truck here today at Pocono. Chastain continues to lead, and the battles for position throughout the field, some of them are holding their breath. We saw the playoff picture take a crazy turn on the first turn of this race when Stuart Friesen crashed. Friesen came into this race 7th of 8 trying to make the playoffs, but his day is already done. How about the 4 of Todd Gilliland?
Well, Vince, we mentioned Todd Gilliland working with Wes Ward as crew chief this weekend, and at least for the next 3 races as they try to somehow make the playoffs. Wes told me the Ford truck started off way too loose, swung to the tight side, so they came in, made some adjustments, trying to hit it somewhere in the middle. But a little bit of pressure on that Ford truck. He needs to try to make his way to the front, Alan.
His teammate Harrison Burton having a great day in the 18 truck. Everything except that last pit stop. He came in a little too hot, did not come in straight into the box, and it cost him some time in the pits and some positions on the racetrack. But he has those 4 tires. Remember, there's trucks in front of him with only 2. I asked his crew chief, Mike Hillman Jr., can you beat those trucks on the 2 tires with your 4 tires? He looked at me and says, we can beat them all. We'll see, guys.
We will indeed. He's got a couple of good ones right in front of him. There's Hillman on the right-hand side of the screen, 2-time Truck Series champion crew chief, because the 2 in front of Harrison Burton are those 2, the 51 of Christian Eckes and the 24 of Brett Moffitt.
Moffitt must have slipped off turn 3 because Eckes was able to make a run on him down the front straightaway. Looks like Moffitt's got a fast truck, but unable to get back around Christian in that 51.
I thought he was going to take a peek underneath him coming off of turn number 3, but wasn't quite able. As you see, Ben Rose peeks to the inside of his teammate Crafton.
Dangerous spot as the teammates try to squeeze into the corner together.
Oh.
Going to break, but you're not going to miss a thing from Pocono. You've been watching it, some great battles around the racetrack, but no battle at the front as Ross Chastain leads the way. Gander Outdoors, 20 to go here at Pocono. It's a comfortable lead of about a second and a half over Tyler Ankrum, who is our most recent winner at Kentucky. And then in third place, Christian Eckes, just his third start of the season, his seventh career start. Eckes doing a great job in that 51 truck. You'll see him coming into your picture right there.
Yeah, Christian Eckes has run far better than the finishes he's gotten in the truck series. He was in the top 2 or 3 his last time out, and ended up getting turned around in the last 2 or 3 laps of the race.
But how about that gaggle behind him there? Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, Harrison Burton, Brett Moffitt.
Oh, 3 wide. We've seen that not work as they go down to turn 1. That Harrison Burton truck with those 4 tires is making some moves. Got hung up beside Crafton there, but he passed Crafton, got around Moffitt. Now he's got to try to hang on to that spot on the outside as they go toward the tunnel turn.
And remember, in that group, Harrison Burton and that 18 truck came into this race believing they had to win to get in. Now things have gotten a little tricky with the fact that Stuart Friesen crashed in lap 1, and points may be now a possibility for Harrison Burton. As you see, he's just 15 points out of the playoff picture with 2 races to go after this one today.
Michael, you talked at the top of the show about the traction compound. I really think that traction compound is working right now. We saw Harrison Burton up there in the traction compound, Brett Moffitt up there in the traction compound through the tunnel turn, and it works.
Yeah, I think right now Harrison Burton is thinking one thing, Vince, I'm going to win this race. His lap times the last 2 trips around the racetrack have been faster than the leaders, even when he was battling with other trucks, was able to cut into that lead that Ross Chastain has built up. There's that beautiful 18 Toyota Tundra for Harrison Burton.
It's his 29th start in the truck series, still seeking his first career win.
He's going to get there. He's shown the speed to do just that. Got a great truck today.
Chasing down Ben Rhodes. Harrison Burton's teammate Christian Eckes just dispatched of the 99 of Ben Rhodes a couple laps ago. Now Harrison Burton is in search of him.
And remember, Rhodes has a little bit of damage to his truck, but has done a good job coming from the back to run up inside the top 5. Going to take a break here at Pocono, but you're not going to miss a thing. Going to keep on trucking from the Tricky Triangle. Back here at Pocono, less than 15 to go. Ross Chastain leads, but Tyler Ankrum is closing the gap. That lead was about 1.5 seconds, and it has now shrunk certainly well under 1 second, about 0.8 right now.
Yeah, just about in half he's cut that lead. What going to show that win last time out was no fluke for Tyler Ankrum.
Well, he's proven all year long that he gets it. He's able to get in that truck and run some great lap times, and this is impressive. He's running down Ross Chastain, and nobody's had anything for Ross all day. Be interesting to see if he can pop that bubble. The closer you get, the more that air wants to pull you down the straightaway, but disrupt you in the corner, make your truck not handle as well. The closer he gets to him, we'll see if he's able to keep that momentum up.
Let's get updates on our front runners, beginning with Hermie.
Mr. 45 is Ross Chastain. What a story that team has been this season. He declared late in the going to compete for championship points in the Truck Series. He's already inside the top 20 in points, which means he will qualify for the playoffs. Crew Chief Phil Gould told me the best thing about his driver, Chastain, is that he is so open-minded about the setups they run. If they want to try something really aggressive, unloading off the truck, or if they want to go 2 tires, no tires during the course of the race, his driver gets up on the wheel and is for whatever is best for the team. And right now they are looking for another win. 13 laps to go, Alan.
Hermie in second place there in the 17 truck is 18-year-old Tyler Ankrum. He's driving with a lot of confidence right now. Over the radio, they're just giving him lap times, telling him to think ahead when it comes to lap traffic so he can run down the leader, Ross Chastain in the 45. I talked with Tyler yesterday. Remember, this is his first time here to the track. He admitted to me going into turn 2 for the first time, he was a little scared as a race car driver, but clearly he's gotten over that fear as he tries to chase down the leader and get his second straight win.
Well, a lot of credit to what Tyler Ankrum has been able to accomplish, to crew chief Bono Mannion, Chad Walters, the engineer. And Ankrum himself, I mean, he ran 2 races this season in the 87 truck of Joe Nemechek's company just to stay playoff eligible before he won. And because he did that, when he did win at Kentucky, it inserted him into the playoffs, and he didn't just slip in. He led the most laps that day at Kentucky, and even though Brett Moffitt ran out of gas at the finish, it was Tyler Ankrum deserving and earning that victory.
Guys, take a look at this gap here. You see that's the 45 of our leader, Ross Chastain. There's Ankrum, that black truck right behind him. But you look at the start-finish line right now, that is Harrison Burton. He is the first truck that ran to the end of the second stage to get those stage points. The 3 trucks in front of him all pitted prior to the end of the second stage. That's where the pit strategy, that's where the track position comes into play now. Harrison Burton probably has the fastest truck on the racetrack, maybe the second fastest, but after he got through that traffic, he finds himself 7 seconds behind Ross Chastain. Probably insurmountable unless we get another caution flag.
Or unless those front teams, those teams running up ahead of him, miscalculated getting the fuel.
Oh, don't talk about that now, Michael.
There could be some issues there. We think the fuel window is around 30, 31 laps. They're going to have to go further than that, and I know there were some caution flag laps, but just remember, we've seen stranger things happen than the leader running out of fuel. In fact, we'll have to go back 1 race.
1 race is all.
And that's certainly something that's a possibility, so keep your eye on Burton. We know he has enough to get to the finish, and we've been clean and green since we went back racing in this stage.
Yeah, and you see the last lap that they pitted on the pylon there on the right-hand side. So Chastain, Ankrum, and Eckes pitted on lap 27. And Mike, you say they can go 30 on a tank of fuel. That's 57. Well, the race is 60 laps. So as Mike said before, he's not great at math.
Well, we had some caution laps that helps. And also now the guys that won the race, Kyle Busch won this race last year. He pitted on lap 27 as well.
So saving fuel, and as you said, the caution laps are key, but still would make you a little bit nervous, I think.
Well, and I think I saw a little bit of that maybe out of Ross Chastain. We talked about how Ankrum closed that gap. He got all the way within a second, and then it was like a switch flipped and off went Ross. Now he's got that lead back out to nearly 2 seconds. Maybe he was in a little bit of conservative mode there, making sure not to burn any more fuel than he needed to try to get to the checkers. But this could get interesting if we keep green, and we've only got 9 laps to go.
How about that neon yellow truck of Matt Crafton running 6th? He came into this race on the playoff bubble. He and his teammate Ben Rhodes, who's right behind him, they have been so close to one another today. it makes me nervous. If I'm ThorSport management, I'm nervous with these two guys driving so close.
Matt Crafton told us before the race, I'm not very good at this racetrack. I talked to Junior Joyner, his crew chief in the garage here. He said, I'm not very good at this racetrack. Matt's not very good at this racetrack. We're going to try to make the best of it. They have a solid run going as we see a great pass there by Todd Gilliland over Ben Rhodes.
That's into 7th goes Gilliland. Gilliland, another one that needs to win to get into the playoffs in one of these final races. Remember, after today, only 2 to go until the playoffs begin. How about the 17 of Ankrum? He's fallen back now to 4 seconds behind Ross Chastain. What's going on, Alan?
Part of that, Vince, is strategy. The gap was getting bigger to the leader, Ross Chastain, so they came over the radio and said, save a little fuel just in case this goes for a green-white checker. Basically admitting they're probably not going to catch Ross Chastain now on the racetrack with only 8 to go, so they're planning ahead just in case a green-white checker may happen, and they need the fuel, and maybe the leader does not.
You know, he was in a pretty good position our last race when our leader, Brett Moffitt, ran out of fuel, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Chastain, he definitely was playing the fuel conservative mode. His lap times recently have been better than anyone, so this is going to be interesting because we've had green-white checkers here before. You stretch this thing out another 3 or 4 laps, those guys can't make it.
5 of the 9 previous races here at Pocono, we've had green-white checkered, so certainly the likelihood is there. A couple of KBM trucks. The 51 of Christian Eckes runs 3rd, and the 18 of Harrison Burton is 4th.
When you draft like you see Burton doing there, you get a little bit better fuel mileage, and we know Chastain's been right out front the whole way, possibly burning more fuel.
I think right now with a 3.5 second lead, if I was Ross Chastain, I would back that truck down a little bit like he was prior to all of a sudden being the fastest truck on the racetrack again.
This is all part of what we talked about at the top of the show. Those head coaches, crew chiefs down on pit road making decisions, cutting it as close as they can so they can spend as least time on pit road as possible. Will it pay off at the end of this race?
And we have to make sure we got that thing completely full of fuel too on that lap 27 pit stop.
Of course, we saw that just in our most recent race at Kentucky Speedway. Brett Moffitt came in for a pit stop, and they needed to get 7 seconds of fuel in. They got 5.3, and that left Moffitt a lap and a half short.
It's hard to squeeze 7 seconds of fuel in 5.2 seconds or 5.3 seconds.
Burton underneath his teammate Eckes for 3rd.
Wow, we've got so much drama as we build toward the playoffs. Making the playoffs is a must for these top teams. Harrison Burton has to be a part of the playoffs, and we've got a couple of races coming up that are real wild cards. We're going to Eldora and racing on the dirt. And then the crazy finishes we've seen at Michigan. What great racing.
But you know, Harrison Burton came into this race 44 points behind the playoff cut line. I mean, he felt like there's no way I'm going to be able to point my way in. I'm going to have to win a race. But because of what happened to Friesen, now we're down to about 13 points for Burton. That's certainly manageable over the next 2 races.
You can see right there Stuart Friesen, who was comfortably above the cut line, as you mentioned, Vince, now only 13 above the cut line, and Harrison Burton has raced his way right back into this thing with a great points day. 18 stage points coming into this 3rd stage here, and going to get a bunch more.
The games continue up front. Ross Chastain about 2 seconds off his pace of a lap or so ago.
He listened to us, didn't he, Mike?
Just trying to make sure this all works out. A very tense time, whether you're the driver or the crew chief, whether you're going to have enough to get there.
5 laps remaining for Ross Chastain, trying to track down his 3rd series win. But remember, of his 2 victories, only one of those wins counts towards the playoffs, because his first win, that victory at Kansas, was prior to Ross announcing that he would run for Truck Series points. 4 laps remaining for the 45 of Chastain.
Another big gain there by Tyler Ankrum.
Hey, Michael, we see the lap times for the 45 of Chastain, faster, slower, managing the last few laps of this race, but just went up to the box, asked Phil Gould, the crew chief, if he was good on fuel, and he said, yes, we are good on fuel. So they don't foresee any issues, but obviously been a little bit on the cautious side in the closing laps.
Hey, you know, I don't understand, Phil. They give you the gas. Why don't they ever have it?
I don't know. And I bet you if we checked Phil Gould's heart rate, it wouldn't be at resting right now.
That's exactly what the crew chief's job is to do. Sit there and tell the competition we're good. Don't worry about us.
Is part of the interview process for a crew chief to sit on the box and not look nervous while their stomach is churning and their heart is pounding?
I think so. I think so.
3 laps remaining for Ross Chastain. Unless something disastrous happens here over these final 3 laps, he's going to go to his 3rd win of the season. And what momentum Chastain would be accumulating if he does indeed finish the job here today.
You know, we talked to Phil Gould and we heard Hermie Sadler say Ross isn't afraid to take chances. Put me a setup in there that is aggressive and I'll see if I can drive it. And we've seen some of the setups that Phil's put under there. It didn't look like anyone could drive it. The truck would bounce around and I'd ask Ross, how's it feel? That's not bad. You know, it's got pretty good speed. But here this weekend, from the first lap on the track, they've just had a smooth weekend and qualified right up front and has dominated this race.
And I think the thing that Phil Gould knows is he's going to get 100% out of that truck with Ross Chastain behind the wheel.
And wouldn't you say this is a Ross Chastain type track where you really got to hang it out over the tunnel and you got to really work it down in turn 3? This has Ross written all over it.
I'm not sure any track we go to isn't a Ross Chastain track anymore.
Well, he is certainly proving that to be the case, that's for sure. Hey, it's been a nice bounce back for Johnny Sauter inside the top 10. At one point, Sauter was a lap down after some early contact. He and Ben Rhodes both have had good days today, all things considered. As you see Sauter taking a look underneath Rhodes, that would be for 8th place.
Saw part of their body parts flapping in the breeze. Johnny makes that pass to take over that 8th spot.
Grant Enfinger liked seeing those trucks battle. He's just behind them in the 10th spot. Maybe he drives up there and gets a spot. There you see the 98 truck closing in on his teammates.
The white flag will wave for Ross Chastain. 1 to go. Less than 2.5 miles for Chastain.
That's certainly the most traffic he's encountered here lately.
You don't want to see all that, I can promise you. Slow down into turn 1, up around the outside of Spencer Boyd in that 20.
Just wanting to make sure nobody in front of him has an issue. And look at how Chastain is being held up there by Boyd, but still comfortable behind him as Ankrum closes a little bit, but it's still better than 2.5 seconds. Through the tunnel turn for Ross Chastain.
Good thing there's no turn 4 here, Vince.
Chastain is going to make it work again as he goes through turn 3 and will head towards home. Ross Chastain wins for the 3rd time this season, victorious at Pocono.
Good job, yeah!
You can't give,
hell of a job, everybody. This one's for you, Nick. All the ball.
you can't give Phil Gould enough credit for what he's done, and he references this one is for you, Nick. Speaking of Nick Harrison, the NASCAR crew chief who passed away a week ago.
A solid performance by Tyler Ankrum, showing that he's for real and may be a contender here when playoff time starts.
Very impressive performance. Phil Gould told us he had plenty of fuel. I don't know why we ever doubted him. You, Phil?
Not at all.
What a season it has been for Ross Chastain and Phil Gould. The winning crew chief is with Hermie.
Yeah, Phil Gould winning. Happy crew chief, happy team. Now you guys won at Gateway, a little over a mile racetrack. Now you come to Pocono, 2.5 mile racetrack. Some teams wondered how would this team react after you got that win, and you guys have kept the pedal to the metal. How does it feel?
Man, it's awesome. I just can't say enough about this group. They just work their guts out and bring fast race trucks to the track, and to have days like this, man, it's just really awesome.
You mentioned Nick Harrison. You crossed the start-finish line. All the crew chiefs uniting on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick was a hell of a guy. That's such a tragic loss for the community. He's just a special individual, and we're going to miss him a lot, just thinking of his family and friends right now.
These guys are going to victory lane again here at Pocono.
It's a familiar place for Ross Chastain. He's even won in the Xfinity Series this year, won recently at Daytona, and now his 3rd win in the Truck Series, the 2nd win that counts towards the playoffs in the Gander Outdoors Series.
Yeah, huge playoff points gain here for Ross Chastain that he can carry on through the playoffs.
Each win is worth 5 playoff points. And a convincing win indeed for Ross Chastain. And do you think does this vault Chastain into the favorites role of the championship?
I think yes.
I would have to say yes. He was dominant today. Whoa.
Of course, Chastain's family, part of the watermelon industry. So.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's been smashing watermelons in victory lane. I don't know, maybe that's taking the place of smashing watermelons. Oh, there it is.
Wonder how they dole that assignment out at the beginning of the weekend. Okay, now you're going to carry the watermelon.
Uh-oh. No, I don't think it's going to fit.
A memorable day for Ross Chastain and the watermelon community. A winner at Pocono. You thought it was fun today. Well, wait until this week when we go to Rossburg, Ohio, and go racing on the dirt at Eldora.
Look out!
You'll be dodging dirt clods instead of watermelons at Eldora. It's going to be fun, that's for sure. But Ross Chastain victorious today. The dirt's not really his surface quite the way it is for some others, but it's going to be fun for sure when we go racing at the Big E.
And that's all you're going to hear all day Thursday is how much fun these truckers are having on the dirt at Eldora. Tony Stewart and his team do such a great job building the hype and prepping the facility for this awesome Thursday night event. You like midweek NASCAR? We got it.
And we've had surprise winners there in the past before, too. It's not always a dirt guy that goes to victory lane.
Ross Chastain continues to enjoy the fun with the watermelon. And we'll go downstairs, check in with Alan quickly.
Second place for Tyler Ankrum, a follow-up to your win in Kentucky. That may have surprised some, the win. How important was it for you to back it up with a strong run like this?
It's awesome. I think it just goes to show everyone that you can, still race with them, and it's just, not all about fuel strategy that gets you a win. So really proud for the truck these guys gave me at DJ Crosley. I think Toyota, Railblazer. They gave me a pretty good truck. Honestly, just kind of fought myself at the beginning of the race there. I was just overdriving the truck, just kind of stepping on my own toes at the beginning, got behind. But Bono did a really good job with pit strategy, and I was able to start in the front row. And me and Ross were able to run away from the field, and I thought I had a good enough truck to chase him down, but just with the air and how everything works, I couldn't get close enough to him to catch the draft, and I was just fighting tight and just burnt my tires up trying to catch him. But the only thing I really would have done different is just save earlier and just kind of wait for. I don't want to say for him to burn his stuff up. He had a really good truck as well, but just overall great effort.
Something to build on, guys.
That's for sure. An impressive run again for Tyler Ankrum. But this day belonged to the Watermelon Man, Ross Chastain, winner at Pocono. The Gander RV 150 from Pocono, part of the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Winner, Ross Chastain. He's in victory lane, and so is Hermie Sadler.
Here he is, Vince, victory lane. Again for this race team at Pocono. A dominating performance. Ross, you guys, you're not the underdog anymore. You're not supposed to be sneaking up on people anymore, yet you continue to win. What is it about this race team that enables you guys to pull this stuff off?
It takes us being a little mad. Not going to lie, we're a little mad that we lost Nick Harrison. We realize everybody goes when it's their time, but, man, we miss that big boy. These boys are – a lot of them worked with him. I got to work with him at Colleague Racing this year, and, man, we miss him. God dang. Hauling balls today is what we did. I'm going to miss seeing him, you know, coming up and where he would have told me how much we were hauling balls. But, no, this Nice Motorsports team, man, this AccuLite Baja Chevy, man, these two groups came on this week. These are just people that want to help. They were fans, and they came on and helped us get here. My crew's driving home. They drove up here, but we stomped them in the dirt. We pressed the attack. Al, Miss Lou, miss y'all, love y'all. I'm so dang excited.
It's been fun to watch as well. Now let's flip the page already. We go to Eldora next Thursday night on Fox Sports 1. You've never been to that racetrack in a truck before, so tell us, handicap that. I mean, I wouldn't put anything past this team at this point.
Well, did Bodine pick us today? Did Todd pick us in the pre-race? Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay, well.
No, he didn't. They're telling me in the truck he did not. So there you go.
Okay, well, I was going to say don't pick me next week, but Buck Stevens, the guy that paints our bodies, he let me go out in his dirt modified this week and get some laps around with, and it just it was enlightening. I felt really insecure in the car, but at the end of the day, it's just about building. So we'll go try to press the attack. We're not going to back down. We don't back down at all. We just keep going. But I don't know what I'm doing. I've always thought dirt's for farming and asphalt's for racing, but we're going to learn something new next week.
Ross Chastain is in victory lane in Pocono, Alan.
Harrison Burton made it a great race at the end. You were closing in on him. You gained a lot of stage points today. Can you be happy with your day overall?
I want to be, but I wanted to win really bad. We had a truck capable of winning. I think everyone kind of knew that. We just needed to get out there and get in front of them, and then I think we could have pulled away. That's just how this race was. It's very track position heavy. We were charging at the end, which is a lot of fun, and I didn't expect to be able to do that well. When we were ninth, I thought we were in trouble there on that last restart, and then just made a lot of ground up, and we're really aggressive. So we had a lot of fun racing. I know I at least had a lot of fun racing, and being aggressive on restarts and gunning for a win. Just didn't work out today, but I think we were only 13 back from the 88 now. So as far as points, we gained a ton today, which is really, really good. Now we're within reach. We just got to go get it.
On to Eldora, a dirt track. That's tough for everybody. What's it like for you, a young driver, doing it for the first time?
We'll find out. I don't know. I'm nervous, man. This is not my specialty.